Here goes. Another day, another dollar in Kerbal Space Program. Some contracts to try and complete. It's been like 2 streams and I haven't done any actual contracts. Alright. We need to check and see what's going on with a few things. I know now that the Minmus probe is actually dead. I did reduce it to a 4.3 kilometer orbit based on a temperature scan I needed. And, well, it has mountains as high as 5.4. So it smashed into a mountain. So let's see. Let's actually see what's going on with what's actually important to me right now. These pods are annoying as can be. I'm going to flip these Jebediah Kerman Memorial Station parts over to actually call as space stations so I can find them easier. So the first piece, this one I'm probably going to end up junking once I complete the contract. I don't think I need 12 Kerbals of carried capability. It's pretty excessive. Plus it didn't have that shroud that I wanted, which was annoying. Guess I could always use this as aft of the other one. And then this would be like a fuel ring. It's kind of a useless ring because I have another one on there. The good one. We'll see. Rename vessel. Make it a station. Accept. Alright, and then I still have the correct section of the station with its booster, actually, because it has capability to deorbit itself. I'm glad this one's shroud stayed. And let's see, we want... leave it untitled for now, is fine. Probably check when its rendezvous is going to be. The refueler is still a good whiles out from reaching the Mun. I just got a wonderful idea what we can do with the moon sat, which doesn't really show where the moon sat required orbit is, does it? Maybe if I focus view on... Ah, there we are. Well, that's highly inconvenient to what I wanted to try and do. Alright, well, I'm going to still go with it. I'm still going to go with my plan, my evil plan for the Munsat. Let's see, what kind of ship was this? Okay, a Mark 1 pod. Piece of space debris that's pissing me off. I didn't notice they put the company logo on there. So that's the guys that launched this guy into moon orbit somehow. Interesting. At least I know what it is. There's a lot going on. Try and get that space station piece into an orbit that's gonna finally bring it to rendezvous. So now we could take these out. We can take those out. We can take those out. And lo and behold, there we are. We've got just our two pieces here. It does have it flagged as target. So what I was trying to figure out yesterday is where I would have a convenient intersect. And it just didn't look like I had one at all. Which is seemingly still correct. So what I should do is go to the ascending node, correct this inclination change, inclination difference. Thusly, we've got 8 minutes to let burn. So I'll go ahead and time warp us to there. At least get some of the maneuvering out of the way. Oh, the solar panels get super close to each other. Did not realize how close this come to touching. That's pretty cool. This looks like one big solar panel. So we're gonna have a 2 meter per second adjustment. Which for that, I really don't need a lot of thrust. That should do fine, 2%. So what I guess I'll do, I'll make this inclination correction, and I'm gonna launch the Munsat, build and launch the Munsat, get that on its way since that'll take a while. And then I'll work on the Kerbin-Sat. So we can get some multitasking done. There we go. You now have a 0.0 degree inclination difference. We'll let that catch up a little bit. Its orbital period's not very long. Alright, yeah, I'll have to keep an eye there on what we're doing. And that was not just a joke because I got something in my eye, because I do. But I will have to keep an eye on that. So, I need to build a Moonsat. A new Moonsat. A temporary Moonsat. That gives any idea of the inclination of what I intend to do. So I'm going to grab a Probodobodyne Hex, because I do like these now quite a bit. I'm going to start building us a new satellite chassis, actually. New satellite bus. That's actually smaller than this? Didn't see that coming. reaction wheel. Help this guy along. Oscar B tanks. This time 3 of these instead of the usual 4. That is a little excessive, actually, I found, so I'm gonna just cut it down a little bit. Actually, let's change it up. Let's put them here. And then I'll do the movement. There, that should do. Engine at the bottom. Now this gives me a little more room. Figure out a place for this. I used to put this on the top, and that's going to now be antenna space. Oh, in this case, actually, I think I need a materials bay anyway for the moon. Yep, I need a materials bay and a thermometer. So I'm gonna need that. Oop, that's the wrong adapter. There we go. Similar to the Minus probe that we doomed. And aerodynamics, put a cone on it. Still only 1.8 tons, which is good. Now this time, just put one solar panel package on. It's actually bugging me that these aren't like centered here. Try moving them again. Yeah, for some reason it like makes those wonky. Solve it that way. No? Oh, I see. Or do I? Better. I'm gonna go with it. Anyway, just one solar panel package, so we don't need a bunch of solar panels for something this size. A pair of batteries to balance that out. Not gonna go overboard with the batteries on this one. Again, though, I am gonna move those in. Good. Then we need, let's see, we need, on this one, a thermometer. I'm going to just add a bunch of little things here. next time we can use it as a template. Now the thermometer. Add a seismic thinger. Add one of these guys. These goo canisters. That gives us a pretty compact design, but we're not done yet. We still need communications. So I think on a normal satellite, I'm going to end up putting one of these on top. As goofy as that looks. Which is pretty goofy. But for this one, I want something like that. Should do just fine. Weighs as much as 10 of those, though. Is it worth it? Looks like it. Looks like it's got a much better range. However, it's going to cost the same as 3 of these, too. So it's just what I was going to put was 3 of these. Yeah, okay. It's going to cost the same, too. Well, wait. I just said it weighs more, right? Yes, it does. Okay, yeah. Then we're going back to these. Just making up my mind. So let's change this around. Let's put this on the center. Let's put this on the center. Let's put this on the center, like that. Okay, and then we're going to put 3 of these facing backwards. So I've got actually really good reception now in most places. I don't need to go over the top with my antennas, I don't think, as I previously did. Yeah, that should do just fine. We'll put the aerodynamic cone back on. Build a fairing for it, and I think this will be my my new default probe type. Our probe bus, which weighs just 2 tons compared to the usual 3 that we shoot for. So that's pretty cool. Now I've got the T6 decoupler, so that'll be a little more sturdy. Put that on. Now the fairing's probably where we're going to add the weight. We're going to add some weight on with the fairing for sure. Oh, that's kind of goofy. There we go. That should be fine. Still 2.2 tons. Hope this doesn't wipe this out. Okay, it doesn't. I want to see what I named the last one. Probe bus A. That's what we used last time. So we're gonna now this is gonna be probe bus B. This is significantly cheaper as well compared to probe bus B. Cancel. Probe bus B. Which means I can go for a pretty laid-back launcher here. I don't need the... I don't think I need the Lunar Transfer Launcher. I think this would actually be excessive. Well, I am going to modify this, actually, so now that I've created the generic, I'm going to modify it. So let's see. I'm going to put that on for a minute. I'm going to, before I forget, add some separatrons to this. I need to start adding that into the base design. There we are. Perfect. Look at that. That's looking good. Move that down a little bit just so it's at least even. That is looking good. The thing is, I need to put it a little bit, actually put it on these so I don't hit the solar panel when that's deployed, because that would be a disaster. Okay, now the part of this that I needed to do that's different from the standard. I'm going to remove this because I don't need it. I'm going to remove this because I don't need it for this mission. Continue the thermometer, so I'll keep that. I'm going to pull that off. I think what I'm going to do that in a second. Just gonna make a little bit of a monstrosity on the front of this. Don't mind that. That looks better. Edit our fairing. Stop being picky. There it goes. Oh, does it really need to be that big? Okay, yeah, it does, I guess. Very awkward fairing to try and pull this off. That might mess me up. Just see, center of thrust, center of... Nope, actually looks like we'll be fine. Alright. We're going to send this on the way to the moon. With my psychosis fully intact. And check my staging. Bingo, bingo. We want the Main engine's firing on the first stage. And we want the boosters separating. And we're going to want to drop the fairing, because this is the higher performing cheetah for vacuum. And then we're going to want to separate that with that. Correct this. A final engine there. Very good. We're go for launch. I hope I did everything that's needed in that contract. Yep. This should do just fine. Aggressive nose over here. Now it's stable. Launch apogee. Looks like we can shallow out a little more. Actually, can go completely horizontal at this point. Good. Okay. Now we can ride this out for a minute as we go through the atmosphere. The one thing I always forget to do, keep as much weight as possible while you're on your trajectory out of the atmosphere. This gives you more momentum. We only want to stage off as we try to increase our speed, so we're no longer fighting so much weight to change our momentum. Weight resists change. Think of it that way. However, once we get to space, I am going to ditch these things just so I have some time to try and react to this, because we do have our maneuver coming up rather quickly. And we have 51 seconds to pull it off. Oh. Yeah, we need to do this like right now. Track prograde. Very good. Extend our solar panel. Extend our antenna. Ugly little probe is on its way. We are driving a higher than necessary apogee, but whatever. Actually, much higher than necessary apogee. Wait till we get much closer again. This doesn't look as ridiculous as I worried it would. Actually, it looks kind of mean, doesn't it? I'm gonna grab that space trash. It'll be nice when I have the grabber, though. To say the least. So let's see. How many seconds approximately of burn are we looking at here? About 15 seconds. There. Safely in space. Not too much excess in terms of apogee. And we're more or less aimed the right way as far as our apogee goes, so that's also good. It might actually work out in our favor. Yep, actually looks pretty darn good. All this is totally doable with our current stage, which blows my mind. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm going to take the time to do is figure out if we go and aim ahead of it, we should drop our perigee if I do this right, which I thought meant aiming ahead of it to drop perigee. Because the idea is we'd get it just close enough to make an encounter. Yeah, there we go. That'd be a free return of that booster. So what would happen is this would get out to here, make a Mun encounter. The Mun would actually slow it down, and during that process of this long interaction, actually slow down the booster itself enough that it would return back to Kerbin and burn up in the atmosphere, leaving no space debris. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. So we'll stop tracking prograde for the moment. We'll see how close... We should be actually just completely aiming prograde when this comes up to maneuver anyway, come to think of it. So I am going to keep tracking prograde, because it's a thing we can do. Prograde, and then retrograde. And then prograde. Look, Ma, no hands. I like this core. It's actually kind of cool. I'm glad Bestie talked me into it. So I am going to time warp this maneuver. Saying this is a 30-second maneuver. So I'll put us like right here. Yeah, like right there. Whoop, not add maneuver. Yeah, it's gonna auto aim to prograde. That's so cool. Now with this burn, I do want to do exactly as I intended, so I'm gonna aim for the target node this time, because I do want that booster to definitely return. Although I am gonna keep it on us until we get to the moon, so I can retro burn it anyway and slow it down further. Despite that being completely not necessary. Now, if anyone else remembers, when we had the old swivel engine on this instead of the Cheetah, we actually would have to dump fuel into the transfer stage in order to get a 3-ton payload all the way there. And we were wasting fuel for our payload. But at this point, we're going to have a little bit of leftover fuel instead. Which makes sense, because we do have a slightly lighter payload than expected. So this is what happens when I do my math a little more. On a known launcher that we know works. And just tweak it. I think that's really what I should be doing. I should be kind of building a rocket that I know works, Kerbal style, and then turning around and trying to smarten it up after the fact instead of doing math from the beginning. Because yeah, I even managed to remove a fuel tank, and we still have excess fuel. Like I said, because it's designed for 3 tons to moon transfer. And the only real difference was changing out the engine here and the engine on the first stage. And even then, the engine on the first stage is almost a mirror of what we had before. It's just it's accomplishing what 3 engines used to do with a single engine. That makes it a little cheaper. That's actually a cost savings maneuver. Now, I did keep the swivel on the 4-ton and 5-ton versions, which makes a lot of sense. But we do still need to go a little more pro-grade. Yeah, there's our encounter. I don't want to go that much. Let's quickly switch back retrograde. So I want this to already be low. Just the tiniest adjustment back. There we go. 4,140 meters. So yeah, I won't even need that that retro package. It's just gonna deorbit itself. Pretty cool. Let's see. Where are we with the refueler? Looks like that's still got a little ways to go on its maneuver. So let's switch back now to the space station. We'll check back on this guy in a little while. We'll start seeing if we can plan a maneuver yet that makes any sense at all. We're getting there. Could do a radial change and be less fuel efficient about this, although I don't really see that being much of a problem for this craft. I think we've got plenty of fuel to try and pull this off. So yeah, I might just kind of cheat a little bit and just do a blunt force maneuver. Seven-second burn. Yep, we'll just time warp around to maneuver. So at less than a kilometer out, we'll have a pretty good rendezvous. And then we'll have more adjustment to match speed with the other piece of the space station, but as I said, we've got excessive fuel on this, so I don't really see that being a problem. Comms looks good all the way across the board. I am very glad of this new comms system. Although this, wow, that's like way outpacing the refueler. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. Anyway, let's move this to quickly adjust. Since we are going to be making a radial change, we won't be able to use our prograde maneuvering. We'll have to manually maneuver. So 4 seconds out. I probably should have checked to make sure this doesn't give us a negative perigee. I'm fairly certain it doesn't, but... Or perigee in atmosphere, that would be bad. Cool. That's a victory. Perigee becomes just barely in atmosphere, okay. Well, I'm going to leave that alone. I think. Maybe need to do just a little less of a radial change. So it doesn't even come close to touching the atmosphere. Just 4.2 meters a second of correction here. And then once we hit our perigee, I'll go ahead and try and flip it back. There we are. Good. Now our perigee stays in space. We did screw up our maneuver node a little bit, but once we get past the perigee, I'm going to try and mess with our timing once more. Ever so slightly. Good. That should do just fine. Probably would have been fine skipping through that level of the atmosphere. Probably would have had no problems. Because it is fairly low. It's basically residual atmosphere. Low in terms of atmospheric pressure, I mean. So probably would have been fine. But, I'd rather not take the chance while we got so much fuel. We can make all these kind of fancy maneuvers. And we'll time warp again. Yeah, learning to use radial changes to speed up rendezvous is something that I wish I'd done much sooner. Like Brolab sooner. So actual intersect at 0.4, so that worked out as intended. I'm going to set a maneuver node for it. I'm going to roughly try and match our target orbit. Just so I got an idea of how much time we're going to need to match speed with it. We'll have to do a radial change back. We're getting there. This would be a pretty similar orbit at this point. higher. Right there. Okay. Doesn't have to be totally exact, although that looks like it's pretty close. So basically, to line us up, we'll need about, saying 47 seconds of burn. I don't want to do it at thrust limited. We need about 6 seconds of maneuver time. So that's good. However, that's not what I'm actually going to do. Right? So I'm going to cancel this. Add maneuver. Instead of trusting myself to make all those maneuver changes, I am going to simply aim to target. Target retrograde. Which I wonder, will this do target retrograde? That would be pretty cool if it does target retrograde, huh? Oh, it does. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So, I know from 3 seconds before maneuver, that is where I will want to start to burn. Retrograde to target. And I'm going to watch here to see where I stop. I was not able to aim retrograde that fine, apparently. It's not giving me the aim retrograde option. Alright, now we should be fairly close to target. There it is. The Jebediah Kerman Memorial Station. Retrograde target again. Now I can let the computer do the aiming. Which I do enjoy, allowing the computer to do the aiming. Holy crap, you're moving fast. Should be okay. I was only using a very, very small amount of our potential thrust out of this engine. And I don't think we're on a direct collision course anyway. There we go. Turn us around. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I went too far. This is why I like having the computer do it, although it doesn't seem to work when it's this close to target. There we go. It's the RCS to make it exact. Now the one thing I will do real quick... Actually, no, I'll do it after we dock. I'll do it after we dock. I was going to say ditch this. Because then I can dump fuel in here. I'm trying to think how I wanted to do this, though. Yeah, I guess I'm going to dock to this rear node. And I'm going to switch over to it. I'm going to control from here. I'm going to set the front docking as target as soon as I actually move a little better here. To target. Oh, that's weird. This isn't giving me a target option. Did I never set this as target? Set as target. Now we will. Now we shall. So this will be the temporary front to this, or I guess maybe this will be the fuel tanker docking ring. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Might actually like the fuel tanker docking ring idea. Whoop, off please. Don't need that. Give me a little bit of turning here and there. Okay, right like that. Now the tricky thing with this is these will slide slightly out of position as we orbit. Because you got to remember, if you're throwing something down towards Kerbin, for example, you're only making a radial change. You're not actually impacting the height of its orbit the way you think you are. Not the same as doing a retrograde or prograde maneuver. Oh, shit. Didn't mean to do that. I thought I was in docking mode. Gonna clip an antenna. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. Docking mode, folks. Use docking node. Okay. Docking mode, I mean. So, yeah. We're just gonna quickly adjust this. Correct this. Stop. Stop doing craziness. After I just did all that effort to line this up. We've got a monster of an engine on the back here, so that's why that was so terrifying for me at the moment. Docking mode. All right, this guy. Oh, it changes it on both craft? That's weird. Okay, and I do have to remember to change that. Line it up. That should do fine. Docking mode, RCS. Much slower approach. So, on the nav ball here, I want this dot to be on this pink dot, our target dot. And to do that, I want our prograde to be in the direction we need to line up on until we are lined up. Thusly. That indicates that we are right on target. A little bit of roll. Just want to make sure this is lined up as possible. Okay, that did put us off a little bit. Move it a little down like that. Looks kind of dead on. That looks pretty good. Don't even really need to check it as long as the nav ball is correct. This should be a nice, easy dock. There we go. RCS off. Now this is of course the core, so we're going to control from here. Which then changes the name of the craft for some reason. So we are going to rename it. Jebediah Kerman Memorial Station. Close that. Now, yep, I think we did use just a little bit of fuel getting this piece to orbit. Yep, so I'm going to just replenish that fuel right there. Bro, International Space Station. Nah, Jeb needs to be remembered. Poor Jebediah. All his stowing away on my craft always was a bad idea, but it finally got him killed. Really was his doing, though. Alright, so that's all the liquid fuel that I could possibly replenish in this thing. I don't need this anymore. But I might keep it a little while until I get a fuel tank up. Like, Jeb did savagely die, like he was legitimately murdered. Yeah, he really did it to himself. He really did it to himself, though. Alright, so now we've got part of our Kerbal carrying capacity. We do need 4,000 units of liquid fuel and 5,000 of electric charge as well. We still need 4 more Kerbals worth of Kerbal carrying capacity. So I could do that with 1 lab and one crew getting sent up. 1 science crew, maybe. Since the docked craft will count. We need to have 4,000 units of liquid fuel, 5,000 of electric charge. Electric charge is almost there, so I'm going to not worry about electric charge. Just launching other craft that we intend to launch will probably more than cover it, because I tend to go overboard with that. Liquid fuel, however, we're a little less than half, so I will have to send up a fuel tank of some kind. So probably a fuel tank and a lab. Worst abort sequence ever. KSA, or whatever it's called, valued saving equipment over his life. By the time he did, kind of stowed away on board. Yeah, we're just gonna say that they didn't know he was on board. They triggered an abort sequence. They didn't know why. It was because Jeb was triggering the abort. They didn't know why it was being aborted, and they focused on saving the craft. How about that? Now I don't think if I aim away from this, if I go to something else, I don't think it's going to keep tracking prograde. I wish it would, because then that would kind of be cool. It would be like the real International Space Station, how it constantly tracks prograde. So there's always a nadir, zenith, port and starboard sides. But whatever. Had a good way of our station done. Let's get see what else we can get up there. Probably get the fuel tank up now. How much is this way? See, I want to challenge this whole notion of 15 tons to orbit. I feel like maybe this can pull off more, this K-15 rocket. But I probably just shouldn't, you know, push my luck. Aerodynamics. What am I doing here? I need some way to close this off at the top. Probably the lightest thing will just be to put a... Yeah, it should be fine. Whatever. And we throw a K-15 on. It does still have the old version core, doesn't it? Change that out. For the new core, which is Mo Beta, wherever that is. Where is it? I see the shadow of it. I see the shadow right there. Where is it? Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Well, hello there, old chum. Hello. Alright, so let's throw that on. Let's throw that on. Need to raise up the whole assembly a little bit. A little bit more. Rebuild this fairing. For some reason these ones like to break. There we are. There's our fuel tank. Staging. Of course, is goofed up. It's always goofed up. So throw that there. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Okay, all that looks good. They'll separate. That goes. I guess there's, once I get to space, I'll want to do that. So I'm gonna put this fairing here. Put this fairing here. So we'll blow both the fairings once we get to space. So it'll be before we activate this engine, and then we'll separate that off and send it off back to Kerbin, so we're not doing all these maneuvers with an extra fuel tank. That should do fine. There we go. Sending up fuel to the Jebediah Kerman Memorial Station. As we got another tanker on the way to the Valentina Kerman Memorial Station around the Mun. Both our stations. Didn't really center that on the launch pad. That's weird. So our 15-ton launcher, we've had plenty of launches with this now. It's really proving itself to be quite reliable. It does have a weird roll when I go into the initial gravity turn. Need to figure out what's going on with that. towards 10,000 feet, or meters rather. I keep saying feet, which is wrong. 10,000 meters. Yep, there it is, the inevitable roll.